Lewis Hamilton, is this the clue Valtteri Bottas could quit F1? Bottas has started exploring other motorsport opportunities and today announced he will be competing in the Arctic Lapland Rally from January 24 to 26. The 29-year-old was widely criticized for finishing fifth in the F1 standings last year while Lewis Hamilton won the world title in a similar car. It is thought Mercedes boss Toto Wolff is considering handing youngster Esteban Ocon a seat alongside Hamilton in 2020 as he is without a drive for next year. But for now Bottas' attention is turned to driving a sport Ford Fiesta World Rally car through the snow after the turn of the year. This is a unique opportunity to take a peek into the world of rallying, and I would like to thank everyone who has made it possible, said Bottas. It's totally new territory for me too, as I have no prior experience of a world rally car. Still, being the race car driver that I am, you always go flat out whatever the vehicle you're driving in. Bottas will be co-driven by Timo Räikkönen, who navigated Marcus Grönholm to WRC grounds in 2000 and 2002. The Finn will also follow in the footsteps of fellow countrymen Keke Rosberg, Mika Häkkinen and Kimi Räikkönen. F1 drivers often venture into other motorsports around their regular season. Fernando Alonso is the most recent star to try his hand at various events and he is on the verge of completing the Triple Crown. After winning the Monaco Grand Prix and 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Spaniard only needs to claim the Indy 500 to cement his place in motorsport history. And he is expected to compete under the McLaren banner at next year's event as he takes a year out of F1. But for Bottas, he will return to Mercedes after his stint in the Arctic, but for how long is anybody's guess. Next news: the underrated driver of 2018. There have been two leagues in Formula One this season. Division 1 has played host to Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull, with these three having been the only teams able to challenge for race wins and the championship over the course of this season. As such, the expectation for the drivers in these teams has been so great that if a win didn't go their way, their season was deemed a disappointment. Division 2 has consisted of the rest of the grid. Teams fighting for points, pride and prize money with the target to try and close the gap to the big three. It is in this division where the underrated driver of the season lies. Nico Hülkenberg won the Division 2 championship and Charles Leclerc hit the headlines, demonstrating he is the next individual ready to step into the spotlight to challenge for titles. Yet in the background there has been a driver quietly working hard, consistently bringing home points and quite simply saved his team. Sergio Perez put himself firmly on the F1 map in 2012 when, driving for Sauber, he put in some impressive performances which earned him a drive at McLaren. Perhaps his McLaren move came at the wrong time. The car wasn't strong enough and Perez simply overdrove the car at times, which resulted in a disappointing season and the loss of his seat at the Woking team. However, Force India gave him a lifeline and during his time there, Perez has consistently got the big points when on offer and this season is no different. This year he finished 8th in the championship, 7 points behind Hülkenberg. Whilst Hülkenberg may have the higher points tally, it is Perez who finished in the points more often with 12 top 10 finishes in 2018. He was also the only driver outside of the big three to get a podium this season, taking third in Baku. This is a feat which hasn't been achieved since Stroll got third at the same race in 2017. Furthermore, Perez outscored his highly regarded teammate, Esteban Ocon by 13 points. To look at these stats alone show Perez is a strong driver and one that can be relied upon, but the way he handled himself during Force India's administration was admirable. It was Perez who instigated court proceedings, and at first glance you could be forgiven for thinking it was done purely for money. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. It was done to save a much-loved team and, more importantly, his drive. Whilst the pressure of all this got to him 48 hours later at the Hungarian Grand Prix, he turned up to the following race at Spa for the newly named Racing Point Force India and came home fifth. Due to his previous failings at McLaren, Perez may be overlooked for the top drives at Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull. However, this season he has shown how reliable and dependable he is for a team and why he is more than deserving of having a car capable of fighting for win and titles in the future. Next news: F1 news. Daniel Ricciardo and Red Bull losing but Max Verstappen and Ferrari winning? Verdict on 2019 drivers' shakeup. Now that the dust has settled on the 2018 Formula One season, the driver lineups for next year's circus have been confirmed, with only 2 teams remaining unchanged for 2019. Only reigning Constructors' champions Mercedes and Haas will retain both of their drivers, with everyone else on the grid joining in on the merry-go-round. And it's not just the drivers who have been affected by the shakeup, with teams also juggling engine suppliers, too. So, now that everything is settled, who are the winners and losers from all of these changes? Winners: Max Verstappen. After a stellar end to last season, 2019 could be a real statement year for Verstappen as he looks to challenge for a first world championship. And should the Honda engine work as Christian Horner is telling the world it will, he will have no excuses not to be. He has lost teammate Daniel Ricciardo and will therefore be Red Bull's undisputed #1 driver and garner all of the resources and favorable team orders that come with that. Charles Leclerc, last season's best rookie, is being tipped for even bigger things in 2019 as graduates to Ferrari's factory team and drive one of the top 2 cars on the grid. He will have nothing to lose and plenty to gain, and could even upset Sebastian Vettel as Ricciardo did in his first season at Red Bull when the German was world champion. Don't be surprised to see him win his first, and possibly second and third, race in F1 next year. Formula 2 with George Russell, Lando Norris and Alexander Albon all on the grid next year after finishing as the top 3 in Formula 2, 2019 could well be the year of the young guns making statements, with the average age now at 26.7 years old. And who is the big name in Formula 2 next year? Mick Schumacher. Don't be surprised to see him emulate his father and reach in F1 should he perform himself in 2019. Renault. They've got Daniel Ricciardo, a top 6 driver, but in the right car he is someone who can actually win the world championship. Whether Renault can provide that, however, is another matter. They're investing a lot of money, and with the addition of Ricciardo, and perhaps Red Bull stuttering with their Honda engine, Renault could put together a tidy challenge for third in the Constructors' Championship. Lance Stroll, your dad has just bought you a Formula One team and placed you as one of the drivers. How is that anything other than winning? Whether he did enough to deserve it ahead of the discarded Esteban Ocon is another matter, however. But this is where the hard work starts for Stroll. If he underperforms, will his dad really be able to convince his other investors that his son still deserves that seat? Losers. Daniel Ricciardo. May be slightly harsh to call him a loser, but unfortunately we may have to go a while before we see another shoey atop the podium again, unless Renault can shock everyone and build a race-winning car. That trademark smile could well be replaced by the more and more familiar look of frustration. He is a good enough driver to steal a podium out of nothing, of course, but continuing with an engine that caused him 8 DNFs last season mean that it is a long shot. Red Bull away from all the positive noise about becoming challengers again, but Christian Horner's own admission, they have lost the best overtaker in the business and have seen the breakup of their best driver partnership. Pierre Gasly will pick up points, but it will be all about Verstappen next year, which could ultimately see them lose out in the Constructors' Championship should he have a first half of the year like in 2018. McLaren. Everyone would like to see McLaren competitive again, but that is going to be made far more difficult without Fernando Alonso. One of the saddest parts of their decline was their inability to give the Spaniard a title-challenging car. They have a completely new driver lineup next year with Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz, one coming through Formula 2 in his rookie season and the other getting outscored by his teammate at Renault. Desired improvements could be a little way off just yet. Sebastian Vettel going into new season on the back of a mistake-blighted failed title challenge, Vettel could be in for another tough year, although with challenges coming from within his own garage as well. Kimi Räikkönen was a great teammate to him and gave him the best chance of beating Hamilton. Leclerc may prove to be a 2014 Ricciardo 20. Thank you watching videos.